Again, any questions, whack them in the box. I'm more than happy to stop tonight and go through and make sure we're all okay with that. Just make sure it's a really good question. We should be fine. So let's look at the basics of our classroom. So at the moment, I'm running 3 groups. I have my Wednesday gang, I've got a Thursday crew, which is you guys, and now I've got a new group. I've got the Wednesday NEU pack. They selected the term, don't worry about it. So what we're going to look at, I'm going to kind of run this one all the way through your page tonight so you can see a few bits and pieces. So let's start with just setting a basic assignment. Again, we're going to go to classwork. The key features on this page for you to always be aware of: the class drive folder, which is where everything gets stored, and the calendar, which is where you schedule in everything that's going to be coming in there. So that's always going to be quite useful. We're going to go straight to create. And we've got quite a few bits here. Now, one of the things I haven't really looked at a huge amount is this idea of reusing. If I go to reuse post, what I can do is I can actually go through classes I've run all the way in the past. So these ones here are sessions that I've run in 2018, 2017. So I can actually go to one of these classes, say from 2017, and here is an activity I've set up for them. So I can click on that task and I can reuse it. This is a particularly useful one. So every time you do a project, say you do it in 2019, the following year, you don't have to rewrite everything again. You can take it from any class as well. So that one was specifically from another group, but it kind of copies it over. Now what it does is it just copies over the key things I have in this class. So the instructions, the title, the points, and who's it going to. Now I can still add to this if I want to. So if I want to update the work task I've got, I can add features in. I can also add the rubric. And I want to look at the rubric again, just to make sure we're all quite happy with this. So the rubric, I personally like the rubric with my students because it gives them something that they can mark themselves against. It's also particularly useful for parents when they're learning away from the classroom. So the parents go, well, what is actually expected at this level? What is my child meant to be doing? So in the rubric, I can put the criterion title. Again, for yourself, you may want to reference this to maybe national standards, curriculum standards. Let's put a description in. So this could be complete all text accurately with little. Again, the points you can put in there. So how much is that worth? That's worth 15. Level, title, and description. Again, because this is an American piece of software, level, title, and description comes from how they set up their curriculum, but you don't have to put anything in there if you don't want to. So you can leave those blank. Description, that could be just a notice for yourself. And we're happy. We hit add criterion. And we can do this with the next one, learning outcome 2, description, good teamwork. I'm going to give them points for that. And that's going to be worth 85 points to make it up to 100. Once I'm happy with how that's put together, I'm going to hit save. And that's now added the rubric to the sheet for the students. Now, I've realized my points don't add up to 100. So let's edit this. Again, I can edit it. Shows what my math skills are like. And good, there we go. We've got our class set up. Now here I can add a range of items. So if I want to, I can add a link to a YouTube page or a Wikipedia page. So say they're doing a, you want them to do a presentation on the Tudors or the Victorians or anything like that at all. I can click on link and maybe I can take a Wikipedia page on the Tudors. So for this, let's just type in Wikipedia, the Tudors. There we go, lovely. No, not that one. Let's go House of Tudor. There we go, lovely. So I've just copied that in and I've pasted that into my thing. I can add as many of these as I want. So if it's a larger piece of work, I may want to add in a YouTube clip. So let's put, you know, horrible histories. Oh, it helps if I type. Now again, the videos on here are set for young ages, so they are kind of pre-censored version of YouTube, so it is quite good there. I can add a file to it, lots of bits and pieces. Docs, I can create a template for them. So if I want to create a template, I go to create, and what this will do, this will open up a brand new window for me. Let's give it a title, Tudors Assessment. Now, what I can do here is I can put in, say, some slide headings for them. So let's go basic history, 5 fun facts. There we go. Now, by doing that, and I'm happy with that, and that's all done, it's automatically saved, and I can now close that down. And what this has done is it's put my 2 websites and it's put the presentation slides. Now, the key thing is this feature here. Students can view the file, students can edit the file or make a copy. Now, if I have it set for students can view the file, they can't add to it. They can only read what you've already got. If I have students can edit the file, that means that my entire class, so I think there's 55 of you in this class, all 55 converge on one document. So it's great for collaboration. If I want to make a copy for each student, that means that when they get that assignment, they each get their own slides to annotate and adapt and play around with, and no one else can see what they've done. Now, if you do want to collaborate with them, you do want to have that for them. What I would do is I'd have it as students can edit the file and set it out as specific tasks for them. So maybe select a certain group of students. You then have to redo that again for each group that's there. But because you've already set the assignment, you can reset it again quite easily for them. And I'll show you that. So for example, I'm going to have these 5 doing the work. Okay, I'm happy with that, and I'm going to assign it. So those 5 pieces, that assignment has only gone to those 5 students. I'm now going to create exactly the same assignment, reuse post. Let's go to one that I've got from, where is it? There you are. That's the one that's currently in this classroom. I'll click on that. Reuse. And what this will do then is it will put it up and I can select the next 5 students afterwards. So that way everyone gets the same task, but I can set them into groups that way. It's a little bit long-winded, but from, I think someone asked this question about splitting it up. That's the only way I've seen of actually doing it if you want to get them into smaller groups within a larger cohort. So you set it as individual tasks for them. Key feature again on this page is where we go to the assigning bit. If we hit this down arrow, we can assign it, and that means it goes live straight away. If I hit schedule, what I can do here is I can actually set when the assignment goes live. So for example, if you're working on a Monday and you're working on a task for them to do on the Friday, I can say, okay, I've written it now, but I don't want to do it till the 15th of May. It won't go live till then. And then I hit schedule. What that means is that you can see it. Your teaching staff that you've got set up on your classroom can see it, but the students can't until that designated date. What you can also do, again, same little drop-down arrow next to assign, is I can save it as a draft. Now, what that does is it posts it in your classwork page. You can see how it's in a light grey. That means that you can see it, teaching assistant staff can see it, but not the students, because you may not be finished. Maybe you need to add some extra bits and pieces. You want to play around with it. So while it's in this draft stage, I can go to it, I can edit it, I can delete it. So if I go to edit, it takes me back to this screen where I can add bits and pieces to it, and then I can just assign it straight away. So that's a kind of nice little tool to have to help support and separate it. Now again, let's look at this key page here for the classwork. We've got the calendar and we've got the class drive folder. And if we go to class drive folder now, the Google Classroom actually automatically creates a folder just for your classroom. So I can look at this, I can see there's the task I've set you, and there's the other work that's already on the page. So it's put that into your classroom. If I go to calendar, what this does is quite a few things. If you look down the left-hand side here, you'll see how these are all the classes I have. I'm actually gonna get rid of all of them. What I want to do is I just want to look at my Wednesday crew. So that's that crew there. Now this will allow me to, if I zoom out a bit, to see when this work is set for you. So I'm going to look at it in month view, and you can see how it's put in the assignments that I've set for that class. And I can click on it. That's the Wednesday group. That's a final test group activity I've set. This is my Thursday group, and it puts that in for you. It does exactly the same as well for the students page. So the students will have this calendar and they'll have access to when they've got assignments due and bits and pieces for them. So it is quite useful. Let's go back to our live stream now. So you can see I've scheduled something in, but I'm not going to allow you to see that yet. Not yet. Let's look at our people. Now, there's a few questions about adding people to our page. So we've got my students in here. There's a few who I've invited, but they've not accepted yet. It's fine. And one of the big questions that comes up quite a lot, people say, I can't see my name on the student list. You won't see your own name if you're already logged in. You know, I think I've had 12 who've gone, I'm not on the list. Well, if you're in the classroom, you're definitely on the list. Students will have certain actions they can do. Teachers, I can add as many teachers as I want to this. Now, that can be teaching assistants, that could be other teachers, it could be your head of department, it could be your senior management team who just want to kind of see what the students' work is. So you can add them here, again, just by typing in their email address. Again, another feature I've not really looked at a huge amount here, but we've got this cog at the top right. If we go to this, this is our kind of general settings, which we can change as we go through. A few of the questions that people have asked is this idea of moderating comments and then not allowing them and things. There's not any setting on here for actual moderation prior to posting. What I can do is I can set it, again, through the general code here, and I can have it set so students can only comment, they can't post, or only teachers can post or comment. So you do have that ability there to have it as either one-way communication, you to the students, and just have it as a submission point or for them to get some research and read it. Or you can have it where actually you can all talk about it. We've also got the marking calculator. So on this one here, I can actually set it for an overall mark, which I'll show you with another class I've got set up. So I can have it as a total points or weighted by category. I'm going to have it as total points. And you can actually then set it so the students can see the actual grade. That again is up to you whether you want that to be available. I'll just show you that in action if I just save this. And I'll go to another class that I've got here. So with the marking, how this looks, fantastic. This is another class. This is what it means by calculating the mark on the form. What this does is it takes all of the assignments I've set within that classroom. So I set 2 tasks. The first task I set was describe wolves pack mentality. And the second one was just called test 2. It tells me the mark they got and the fact they resubmitted. It also tells me the overall mark as a percentage. So it takes the grades from the 2 assignments or 3 or 4, however many you set, and it works it out. It then works out by a class average. So you can tell if a student is currently not performing as well as they can or where they sit in the class. From this mark point as well, what I can do is if I pick a certain learner, so I've only got 1 in this group, I can actually view all of the work that they've submitted. So throughout the entire process, as soon as they submit something, you may have 25 in your class, I can just go straight to that work and go, well, let's have a look at that great piece of work that you did last week. And bang, it's taken me straight to the work that they did, the mark, the comments I gave. I just said, great work. If only we could get away with just putting that on marking, it'd be so much easier. So it is a good little tool just to have. It just makes our lives a lot easier. So again, to access that, when you're on your main classroom page, you go to the cog at the top, and then you go down to marking, and you set it for overall mark calculation and total points. So that will then calculate their grades. Again, that information is only visible to the teachers. It's not visible to other students. They can't have access to that. So, you know, for your teams, you may want to actually have that in there. So, you know, if let's take the 3 people I can see here. I've got Janet, I've got Anne's iPhone, and I've got Sarah. Melish, am I close? Close?
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, Janet may run a class, and then Anne may actually want to look at a certain student and go, well, how's she doing in Janet's class? Because I'm having some issues with her at the moment. And by having that shared marking criteria that you can quickly look at, you can identify whether, well, actually, maybe Janet's doing something with this learner I need to speak to her about and see about how I can help bump up the grades in my class. It's just about collaboration. Okay, next on my list. Before I go any further with that, any questions at all? Just pop them in the chat box and I'll have a quick answer. So any questions about setting assignments, scheduling assignments, and organizing students? So, oh, there is one. Fantastic. So when pupils complete assignments, do they have their own folder that you look at, or do they come in time order? So when students submit work, great question there, thank you. So let's take this class here. I'm going to go to classwork and I'm going to go to class drive folder. What this will do for me, this will create the folders based on the assignment set. So let's go to the Wolves Pack Mentality, and it will give me the learner's name and the work that they completed. It doesn't create individual folders for the student. So it will just tell me the name and the piece of work that's there. So I can look at it that way. So that's a great question there. Where's my chat box gone? It's disappeared. So I think there were 3 more questions for me to look at, and I can't see them. So let's have a look at the other questions. Are you recording, Julian? Yes, I am. Do the children have to share something with you, or can you see it without them doing anything? I can't see their work as they do it. I can only see the work once they have shared that back with me. I want to set an assignment that has 5 weeks of work in it. Do I just return it to them so they can continue the work? That would probably be the best option. What you may want to do though with this, if we go to the classroom, we can set, here we've got modules set up. So if you've got 5 weeks of work, you may want to set it up as individual modules, and those modules refer to each week. I'll just show you how to do that. So if I go to another class that's not got this on, when I go to classwork, I can go to create assignment, but I'm going to create topic. Now that topic I can say as week 1 assignment and add. And I can then create another topic as week 2 assignment. Now by doing it this way, I can then set a project. So I'm going to set an assignment and I can put it under which week that is. So say if I don't know, task, there we go. Now what that does is it puts it underneath that week. I can then set another task. So let's go to set another assignment, task 2, and I can schedule that for a week's time. Again, putting this under week 2 assignment and assign. So that may be the easiest way of doing that. So that one's posted now, and that one doesn't get posted till a week's time later on. So that may be the best way of doing it, rather than constantly sending out and back. And it makes your life a lot easier when it comes to marking, and students can then plan and schedule ahead. I think there are a few more questions. Let's have a look what other questions we've got. My chat box has disappeared. Okay, let's have a look, see what questions we've got. I've created topics because my class is inside, but I wonder if I can create another topic folder inside another. No, unfortunately, you can't create another topic folder inside another one. You can move them up and down, but you can, what you may want to do is create a folder and just have it underneath. So say maybe I call this one week 2.1. That would be the best way of doing it, and then you can move those around. The difference between assignment and material is that there's no marking rubric on it. So that's a great question that someone asked. If I create an assignment, there's a marking criteria and there's a date for completion that they must do it. For material, I may be sharing with them a document that they need to read for, say they've got a test they've got to do. So sharing material may be just a PDF. What that does is it stores it in a Google Drive folder so they can refer to it at a later date. So that's the major difference between setting an assignment and setting material. My chat box does not want to be here. So that's quite a few questions. That's great. So let's continue. Let's have a look at our next stage. So the next thing I wanted to look at that was on my list was just going back to Google Forms for quizzes. Now, I am going to do a larger session on Google Forms, but one of the things I wanted to look at was how we can use this in our classroom. So just to kind of recap it really. I'm going to start off by going straight to blank. Now, if I want it to be a quiz, the first stage I've got to go to is the settings cog at the top. And I'm going to go to quiz, and I'm going to hit make this a quiz. Now, the options I've got here, I can have it where they get their grade straight away, or I can have it set for later after a manual review. I go immediately, it means they complete the quiz and they get their mark straight away. It's quite nice for them. It also gives me the feature where they can see what questions they've missed, and they can also see what the correct answer is. Now, I may want to turn that off, and maybe I'll use it as a recap later stage. But I'll keep that in just because I'm kind. And let's go save. So this is automatically put in the details. We're going to give it a name. So we're just going to click this. So class quiz fun. There we go. We've got this little palette board here, so I can add a picture. So it gives me some lovely pictures. There we go. There's someone playing basketball. They can have that one. I'm just going to insert that, and then I'll give it a nice theme color. Again, what might be nice is to add your school's logo or something like that. Again, when it comes to the question options, there's quite a few things you can do here. So I can have it set as multiple choice. I can also upload pictures. So I can take them from my Google Drive. I can do it by a URL link. I can also use the camera. So the camera is the webcam that's attached. Let's just go Google image search. So this is where I try to spell something that I don't know what it is. Wonderful, good. Let's put that there and insert. So the question is, what is this? Just putting the answers in here. Terrible with spelling, so let's go for it. There we go. Now, once we've put the options in, we're going to go to answer key. Now, what that does is that allows me to then tick which one is the correct answer. I can assign a certain amount of points for it, so that's going to be worth 6 points. And once I'm happy, I'm going to click done. So that's adding an image to our quiz. To add my next question, I just hit this plus symbol. And again, I've got a fair few things I can play with here. So check boxes if it's more than one answer. I may want them to put a short answer, or maybe they want to put something in a Likert scale. That's absolutely fine for them. So let's go for check boxes. Now, we've put an image, but let's add a video. So I can put a short video clip in here as well. So let's type in, I don't know. This is an interesting quiz. This is what I can assure you. There we go. We've put in an episode of Peppa Pig. So let's put the questions in here. So the question could be, what has happened to Peppa in this video? And we can put the option there. I don't think I've actually ever watched a Peppa Pig. So sure what she's done. There we go. Again, let's go back to edit it. Answer key, she lost both her shoe and her briefcase. No point did she find a goat. Now, I've realized here I've not added any points. Let's go back to our answer key and add some points. There we go. Now, we can add in here a section. So what you can always do with a quiz is you can have an upper section, you can have a lower section. So let's add a section in. So I can have this as my intermediate section, or maybe I put in a slightly harder. And now let's put in a question underneath. So I can split it up how I want. And what it does is it kind of allows it, rather than being one continuous scroll, it allows a fresh new page for the students to play around with. Okay. So I'm happy with that. That's enough. Now I can send it to email address, that's there, or the link. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add it straight into my Google Classroom. So there's my quiz. I'm very happy with that. Let's go back to my classroom. So now if I go to the stream, we're going to go to classwork, and I'm going to create this as an assignment. Now by creating it as an assignment, it's all saved in there. I'm going to go to add, and I'm going to go to my Google Drive, which is where it's just been saved, and you should see my most recent one, and it's there. So let's go Google Quiz. Now, if you are logged into this classroom, I will set it right now, and I will allow you to try and answer my quiz. So I have assigned it. So what I'll do, it's on the page. I'll allow you to play around and go and find it, and then we'll see how good you are, how quick you can remember my quiz questions. While I'm doing that and you're playing around with it, more than happy, please send me some questions and I will answer them. There's a few here which I'll have a look at while you're answering that. So Alid asked a good question. He said, when you reuse post and choose different students, will the other students see that assignment for the first 5? No, they'll only see the assignment that's set for them. All the videos from YouTube are filtered. So what that does is it does limit the amount that they can see, but they don't see the adverts. But sometimes there'll be a video that you won't be able to get access to. So that case, you have to go on the URL. Can you set it so they only answer once? Yes. Could I have the class code? Yep. How do children get another chance to answer the questions they answered incorrectly? That's all through the settings. So if I go to the settings of my quiz, we go to the quiz, we go back to general, there it is. I can have it set for limit to 1 response. And I can click that. I've allowed you as many times as you want to enter it and have a go, but I can just click it to limit to 1 response. But I'll see how many times that person's answered, and I'll show you how that is. So I've got 4 of you have completed this so far. It must be difficult, so that's always good. Let's have a look, see if there's any more questions. Oh, 6. Fantastic. Let's go to my chat. Can you archive parts of your streams that posts are no longer seen but not deleted? Yes, definitely. I will show you that. So that's a great question. So if I want to archive something, so let's go to my classwork, go to my activity. So I put a little comment there. Now, whenever I put an activity, there we go. I can delete it or I can edit it. And what this should be able to do is, if I delete it, ooh, that's a great question. Now you can't archive anything on here. I know you can do it with the classwork. So you can kind of hide it and stuff. But no, that's a great question. I thought you could archive it from the main screen, but it appears you cannot. So that's a good one. Pupils can't see adverts, but it is a limited share. So let's have a look at your Google quiz. Janet, can you see the class quiz fun page? Fantastic, good. I'm just making sure you're still there and you're happy. So I've got 9 responses. I can see total points scored. So 2 of you scored absolutely nothing. 1 scored 6 and 6 of you scored 13, which is good. It means you're paying attention. I can also see who achieved certain scores. Now, once I've got them all in, I can actually release those scores and I can send a message. So I can release the scores to the students. I'm going to send that. Now, what that does is that sends an email to the students as to the score that they achieved. And there'll be a couple of people who will be massively disappointed. Now, looking at the Google Forms here, I can actually then see the responses I had to each question. Now, this is great if you want to see where strengths are and where maybe I need to do a little bit more revision as we go through. So it's good to see that all of you got the Peppa Pig one right, but were completely unsure on what a mitochondria was. Let's have a look, see what else we can do. So I've got 12 responses now. It's great. Now, the key thing, 13, wonderful, is this little button up here. Once I've created the quiz, I can click that and it will create for me automatically my Google Forms sheet. It gives me the timestamp of when the student did the test. It tells me the email address of who that person was, the score they achieved, and what they, the answer they provided for that question. So it gives me quite a lot of information just off that spreadsheet, and I can save that. It's automatically saved into my Google folder. In fact, if I, that folder there, if I click on that, it shows me exactly where it's saved, and I can move it around if I want. So I could actually move it to just a folder specifically for marking grades. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to put it in Classroom, and I'm going to put it in my, where's my Thursday group? There we go. I'll put it in there. Okay. So that's using Google Forms for quizzing and setting small tasks. Again, with this activity, it's saved. I can reuse it again and again. So once I've created a really nice quiz, I can actually go create. I can go assignment. Oh, no, sorry, schoolboy. Create, reuse a post. There's my Google quiz. So I can go, yep, that's the one I want to reuse it. What this will automatically do as well is when I reuse it, it gets rid of the previous old data. So if I'm using it with a new class, it'll do that. Here, I can then select which group I want it to go to. So it doesn't have to be just for that group. It could be for several groups at the same time, and then just hit assign, and that does it for me. So it's a good little tool to have and to help. So once you create a really nice quiz, you can do it again and again. And again, you can still go back in and edit it. Any questions at all on using Google Quizzes at all? Whack them in the chat box and I'll have a look. Okay. Can you show again how to use an item from a different classroom? Yes, I will show you that now. So let's go back to our classroom. Now I want to reuse something that I've used in a completely different class. This is my Thursday NEU crew class. I'm going to go to create, and then I'm going to go to reuse post. And I'm going to go to a class that I taught back in 2017. So I can go as far back as long as it's saved. Now these are all archived classes, they don't exist anymore. And here's a task I did on spelling errors. And I'm going to reuse it. I think I must have deleted the all the bits and pieces. If I go spelling errors and reuse. There it is. There we go. Well, it's not having fun. Why is it not having fun? There we go. There we go. So what that's done now is it's put the file on there, and I can then assign that for students. And that's from a very old class that I did and set for people. Any other questions at all on chats or the quiz software? No? Good. Fantastic. Okay. The next thing I want to look at is something I've not used a great deal of, but a few people have asked about, and that is using Flipgrid. Now, Flipgrid, best way to do it that I've discovered is to actually show you a terrible video that I made. So hopefully you can see this page here. This is my attempt at trying to be a primary school teacher. Okay, and this is what Flipgrid is. This is the best way for me to explain it, is to get me to explain it.
Yay. So guys, this is Flipgrid. Basically, you create fun and immersive videos. There's lots of stickers. You have a 1:50 countdown for this. So apart from putting a hat and text above me, I can also add things such as I can draw on top. So if I want to do that, I can then say hi. Gripping, yeah. This is not the toy I use. And we've also got things such as a whiteboard. So if I wanted to do a whiteboard activity, I'm going to go for a blackboard actually. So maybe I want to write on this and add to what I've already got. So, you know, you could use this for adding sums and stuff and bits and pieces. We'll come back off that whiteboard. So there's Flipgrid for you. Great fun. Students can reply back with their own videos. So again, you've got to think about how you're going to use this. Maybe you could give them a piece of poetry and they've got to act it out or read it back to you, or maybe they could do some sums. And there's lots of little bits and pieces. But basically, you build a grid for your class on small videos and have funky hats.
Okay. It was a long day today. So this is Flipgrid. Now I can't actually record at the same time as this being recorded, which is a bit of a pain. But what you create is very much like Wakelet, which we looked at last week. You can create small videos and little tasks. And then what you do is you share, each classroom has a flip code. And the learner goes on to, so say I've got a student, let's go to my student screen. So we're going to go to my student screen, it's got the silver at the top, and they're going to go into Flipgrid. There we go. And then what they're going to do is they're going to enter a flip code. Now my flip code I would send to them. Just got to try and remember what it is now. What's my Flipgrid code? So my code was 0855. So the student can go onto this page. They have to log in with Google or the Gmail account, their Google Classroom account, so they can log in with that. It does connect, and they can see my page, and I can set little tasks for them. So once they're on here, they can click on little activities. So this one I said here, draw a picture to show how you feel today, and they can respond to this. So what they can click here is this little green button, and they can add a video back to it. I've set a few other little activities. So there's some topics here. One is, are you an owl or a lark? So they can click on it. They can then respond, and they do it via these small little videos. Now, the thing that I've done here is when I create a video, so if I go back to my classroom page, so this is my videos here, fantastic fun. I can go to my Flipgrid because I can create these videos. So I created a few, and then I can download them. So I actually I made this video on Flipgrid, I downloaded it, and then I just added it to my, so I went to kind of added a document, and I had my Flipgrid file, which I downloaded, which is there. So I downloaded the video of Flipgrid, which I created, and I then added it to my page. So, you know, you guys are a lot more creative than I am. So that's the kind of sole purpose of it. Students, again, it's just an opportunity for them to have a bit of fun. You can add stickers, they can add text to it. And it's just a way of them sharing ideas. And that's the kind of the key features of it. The other tool I wanted to look at, apart from Flipgrid, is something which I discovered, which is called Oxford Owl. Now, this one is, I was quite surprised to see it. It's got a huge amount on here. Some of you may have seen this before. So let's log in. I think I've already logged in. So I just logged in. I created a basic account. And it's a set of really great resources that you can share. And these include ebooks for the students. So I can download an ebook for them, and I can add these to my page for the students. So I can click on a book and I go, oh yeah, that looks a nice book. It's got activities within it for them to play. So let's say Jules. And I can kind of enjoy this and play around with it. And this is set for younger age groups. So click on a picture that rhymes with dog, horse. Fantastic. And all I would do here is, for the student, is I would just copy and paste the link and add it as a little activity for them. So add a link, and I'd add that. Now what that will do, the student will just click on that link there, and it will take them to the book once they've put their details in. So it's quite a nice little activity for them. And again, because the great thing about this is it's a UK website. So a lot of the text and a lot of the things that are here are things that are naturally already part of your curriculum. Yes, I'm so glad that they're still doing Biff, Chip and Kipper. That's what I read. That's fantastic. So it's also got some other things in here that you can share with them. So it has got games. It has got some worksheets. So if you wanted to look at some worksheets that maybe you want to send out to parents in English, it's got mathematics, it's got some little assessment tasks, it's got dictionaries. There's huge amounts on here, which is completely free for staff to use. And it's just a nice little thing for them. So I think this is a really great little tool that I kind of potted along with. So that's great for the younger age group. The final task one I want to show is for the slightly older student. That's Homework Elephant. Now this again is split 4 age groups. Huge amount of different subject support here by key stage for them. I will make sure all the links are put on the classroom page for later on. So say for example I will look at key stage 3. I can then go through and go, okay, let's look at history for key stage 3. And it takes me to all these bits and pieces that will help support them in those areas. So that's quite a nice little tool there. Again, there's some quotes, there's some bits and pieces for them to play with. And they're kind of some of the links I've found so far. What I'll do is I've got some other websites, some physics-based websites and some science ones. And as I come along, I will be putting them onto the classroom page. So that will be available for you. And again, please use this page for you to share your own resources with everyone else. Any other websites that you found that could be of benefit. The aim is with this that we really look at starting to develop it and allow it something that's a bit organic to grow as we go through the sessions. So thank you for listening to that. Any questions, please put them on the book. So the children will need a login for Oxford OWL, and they can do that with just the student account. So they can use that as their email address if they want. There's nothing else they need to do from it. The books, yeah, just one username and password. They can access all of the books, all the ebooks on there. It's a great free little tool. They're quite nice. The fact that they've got the book and they've got the interactive games as they go through each of the pages. I thought that was, for a freebie site, I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Can I get an invite to the Thursday NEU crew? Of course. Let's have a look at this. There's a few questions here about how do we find this classroom. So we go back to, so Janet, can we see the black page? Can we see the Thursday NEU crew page?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you. This is why I have the voice of reason. There we go. Can you see it now?
No, not the blank page, no.
Can you see the Thursday NEU crew page? Because what you should see is this class code.
I can see a code now.
Brilliant, good. Okay, so if you do want to join this page, all you do is make sure you're logged in with a Gmail account, not a hub one because it doesn't like these. Because this isn't through a school, I'm doing this as a just separately, private. It doesn't like your hub one. So if you do want to join us, do it with just a normal Gmail account. And all you would do is you would take this code. I will put it into the chat box for you. And when you go to Google Classroom, on the main screen, you will see a plus symbol top right, and then hit join class. And it will just ask for this code, which I'll put into the chat box now. And that will allow you then to take part in the sessions, really. If you do have any sort of issues with getting access to the chat room, just drop me an email and I will try and manually add you or work out why there is still an issue. A few other questions here. When you delete assignments, can the children still see their feedback and marking? Yeah, when you delete assignments, it just gets rid of the assignment, not the folder with all the work in it. So the children's work is saved in the personal folder. So if I show you this, if I go to, so let's go to my student screen. So this is my student screen. If they go to the Google Drive, they should see a classroom page that they'll be able to have all of their class activities on there. So they'll see their classroom page, and even though I've deleted the assignments from my side, they've got all of the work they've done in the past for each of their classes. So they still have access to that. It's not a problem. What other questions have we got? I set an assignment. Oh, hang on. Jumped. I set an assignment using Jamboard, and some pupils can't access it. Does it work on iPads? It should work on iPads, the up-to-date ones. I think it shouldn't be a problem. I've not had a problem with it on iPads. It may be just the age of the iPad, but that shouldn't be an issue. I've got an iPad, so what I will do is I will check that, and if it's okay, Gemma, I'll get back to you and to see why that may be an issue. So, thank you. I've been setting work for the students using Google Docs. I'm having a few problems with the work moving around. Is there some way of stopping this? I've tried fixing images. Okay, so if that's okay, let me just go to, so where are we? So Amy Folks, where are you, Amy? Hunting you down. I can't see you. Has she left? If I say something inappropriate about her, will she suddenly go, hey, that's me?
Yeah, I'm here.
There you go, thank you. So just explain that again for me. What's happening with your Google document?
Well, it's looking okay on my side, what I'm sending to the children, but when some of them are receiving it, all of the boxes have jumped around.
Are you doing it on Google Docs or Word?
No, I did it on Word, and then I thought I might have some problems, so I did it on Google Docs, and they're still saying that most children are finding it okay, and it's formatted okay for them. But some of them, I can see what they can see. Once it's been kind of delivered to them, all of the boxes have moved around.
Yeah, the key thing there is with Google Word and with Word and with Docs, it doesn't like the boxes in there anyway, unless you text wrap them tight and actually fill around them.
Yeah.
So for some reason they do jump there. What I would say to you, if you've got them to fill in boxes, I'd maybe do it using a table, and then cut out, you can discolor the bits and pieces that you don't need, and that will keep as such your boxes in the right area. If it's still a problem, look at using something like maybe Google Diagrams, which I think we looked at last week, and there you can set, it's like their version of Publisher, and that way the boxes do stay where they are. If there's any other issues, I'll have a look into that if that's okay. But that's normally the problem with it. Word doesn't like boxes. They will move around unless you tightly wrap them and put text all around them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
That's okay. Someone asked about whether I use the stylus for Flipgrid. No, that was with my mouse, as you can tell by it being dreadful. I think, Patricia, you've entered the code. If it's okay, Patricia, do you want to send me privately your Gmail address and I'll add you manually? Using Google Meet when you present is a way to do this and also see the students too. With Google Meet, I've not played around too much with it, but you should still be able to have that there as part of it. You should be able to slide the screen over. I don't have access to Google Meet, unfortunately. But again, that's another one for me to look into and come and discuss with you, if that's okay. Interactive PowerPoint's not working for some, just being static slides. So with Debbie's question on PowerPoint, when you're saying they're being static slides, is Debbie Michael here? Yeah, you are. I'm going to unmute you. Debbie Michael. Hello, Debbie Michael. Again, do I have to say something inappropriate about them? No? Okay. With PowerPoint, it's about where you create them. The version of PowerPoint that you have made it on. So if you've used it with an up-to-date version of PowerPoint, the file should be saved as .pptx. And then maybe if you open it on another computer and the student hasn't got an up-to-date version of Word, or if they're using it through Google Slides, it may cause a bit of an issue. We've got it with a member of staff at the moment who's got an old version of Excel, and all the files that we're sending are XLSX, which are up to date. It's a bit of a pain. So, any other questions, please pop them in there. If not, thank you again for coming along tonight. I think Beth's going to send out a link for next week on a Thursday. I'm doing some one-off classes. And next week I'm looking at quizzes. So I'm going to look at 3 quiz software. I'm going to look at Kahoot. Again, I'm going to go into looking at Google Forms because I think there's a few people who want to use that. And I'm going to be looking at Socrative, which is a bit highbrow. So if you like highbrow quizzes, Socrative is the way ahead. I'm also going to be running a session looking at collaboration tools. So Stormboard and something else I've forgotten the name of. And I'm going to be looking at some tools for thought sharing and mind mapping and bits and pieces. If you've read Tony Bazan, it's going to be kind of like a Tony Bazan session. I'll make sure the recording of this one is up on the classroom page for you, probably tomorrow morning, because I want to get away from a computer screen. So no offense to you guys, you're all lovely, thank you. But no, have a lovely evening, and I will see you all very soon. So thank you very much. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Amazing, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Beth, how you doing?
Hey, Julian, you okay?
Good questions. That's giving me some work to do.